Hi everybody, welcome back for another edition of the Joel and Jameson Show. I'm Jameson Melby with RE/MAX Results.
And I'm Joel Gray with Citizens One. Today we are going to cover a little bit of regards to the process of buying and selling a house. And so we're going to briefly discuss each option and kind of go from there. So we're going to get started here with Jameson touching on the process of selling a house.
Yeah. So we've been doing Q&A format. This time we're just going to go through more of an explanation for this show. So when you list your house, the first step is interviewing real estate agents. We all are created differently.
Yep.
We all have different ideas on what we do to sell houses. So what you want to do is interview realtors, ask them about their marketing plans, ask them about what are they going to do specifically to sell your house for as much as possible. The other thing you'll do during that process, you're going to review a CMA and pricing strategy. So a CMA is a comparative market analysis.
Yep.
Where we're looking at what houses have sold that are comparable to yours, the size of the house, the year built, neighborhoods, school districts. That makes a huge difference.
Yes,
if you're in one school district or another.
You got that right.
So we compare the houses that have sold, and then we also look at your competition. What houses do you have to beat that a buyer is going to buy? I mean, if you have a lot of inventory out there, depending on the price ranges, like I've said before, the closer to the median sale price you are, the faster sale you'll have. The higher the sale price, the longer the days on market will be. So we have to take all that into consideration. After that, you decide on a pricing strategy. You decide on what real estate agent it's going to be. You then sign the listing paperwork. So after the listing paperwork is signed, I mean, everybody has to do that.
Yeah.
Then we go into, the staging, pre-inspections, photo appointments, again, depending on the realtor. Some realtors just take their phone into the house and take the pictures, not a lot of planning going on. Somebody like myself has stagers, pre-inspections, ad copy written.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I've looked at homes online, and there is nothing worse than just
terrible photos.
Terrible photos.
Right?
I wanted to use a different word here, but no, literally, it's like, come on, that's your one chance to show off a house, and there's many other houses out there, and that's.
If you're not hiring a professional, you're not trying.
Yeah.
I just gave a presentation this morning showing side-by-side examples of professional photography. It's horrible.
Yep.
So like I said, I would have a lot of people coming through your house, staging, pre-inspections, professional photographers, somebody writing ad copy, things like that. Not everybody does. But then after all of that is done and it comes together as a complete package, we then go on the MLS where the buyers get to see it. It goes on all of the real estate websites, the Zillows, the Trulias, the broker websites. So once that happens, then we start showing the house to prospective buyers, right? And hopefully they're coming pre-approved, like we've talked about in other shows. They must be pre-approved. And then it's a case-by-case basis, but if we are doing an open house for you, we would be doing that right away, preferably the weekend after it goes on the MLS. We'd be doing an open house. Then, after the open house, after showings, maybe it's day 1, maybe it's day 30, when we get the offer, then we start negotiating the offer with the other agent.
Fun part, right?
That's the best part, in my opinion. We negotiate price, terms, things like that. Now, we get the offer buttoned up, and then most likely they'll have a home inspection, right? It's optional, we've talked about before. The appraisal is mandatory. Home inspections are optional. Most often than not, they will have a home inspection. Then if we get an amendment where they want to negotiate repairs from the inspection, if they want to negotiate a lower price, at that point we kind of have to renegotiate the contract. Hopefully, if you've done the pre-inspection and you've made repairs to the property, we don't need to worry about that step if you're being proactive, right? So then after that point is when the lender orders the appraisal. We start ordering title work, closings, things like that. And then really at that point, the buyers and the sellers kind of sit back. I mean, buyers just wait for the contract to close. Sellers, of course, once we get those commitment letters, then you're more confident to start packing. I mean, that's a big deal. And if you're upgrading or downsizing a house, then you're out there looking for a house, going through the same buyer steps that the buyer's going through on your place. And then the title work is completed. We get that clear to close that we like to get. And then everybody shows up to the closing. So if you're a seller and you're selling your house, you're going to sign your paperwork. most likely you're buying a house right after, right? So then you'll go into your closing as soon as yours is done, and within a few hours you have sold a house, you've bought a house, you leave with the keys of your new house. And that's, we're simplifying the process here.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't want to take 2 hours to explain everything in
Correct.
complete detail, like we can, face to face. But that's a good overview of the steps that you have to take when you're selling a house.
Yeah.
So now you have
Buyer side.
The buyer side. What do buyers expect when they're buying a house?
It's a great question, and so briefly, just kind of go over that here. Obviously, the first step is when deciding to buy a house is. And these can be a little bit interchangeable on what they typically do. A lot of times you see the buyer going to start with a real estate agent. However, I think, from my opinion, I think it's probably beneficial to start on the lender side. Right? Because if you go seek out an agent and you start looking at homes without knowing whether or not you're pre-approved, you're backtracking.
Yeah. Yep.
But again, they're interchangeable, right?
Yep.
So typically, yes, you're going to meet with the loan officer, and these can, you can find these by referrals through family, friends, or real estate agents or financial advisors. Yep. You can do your research on that, and that's the same way with finding realtors, right? Referrals, like I would refer somebody over to you or vice versa, right?
You can even find us through Facebook videos.
Exactly.
Right.
But that's what you want to do, right? Start out by getting your real estate agent and your loan officer, and then you begin to go down the path for buying. So buying, you're going to start out with obviously getting pre-approved first, right? We're going to walk through the steps. We're going to figure out which product meets your needs based off of where you are in your life and where you want to go, not on what I feel, right? I'm going to recommend some stuff, but ultimately we want to choose what's best for you. Yep. And then, a lender is going to reach out to your real estate agent to build that rapport as well if it's not already there, to set the expectations on what they're going to be doing.
Right.
Okay. They're going to work with the LO on getting what kind of documentation they need to get everything in for initial review for buying.
LO, that's loan officer.
Loan officer, right? Correct. Yep. And on top of that, you're going to be working with your real estate agent to be starting to look for homes in that price range. Right. And what you want to do in that area. School districts you talked about is a huge thing.
Right.
And so you're going to be looking for that. The file's going to be through fulfillment, right? And the other biggest thing I kind of misstepped is we got to know a timeline, right? Are you looking to close within 30 days? You're looking to close in, 2 months, 3 months, or maybe you need a real quick close and we're hoping that you can get in there in 3 weeks, which I don't always recommend, but it is possible. And that all starts with the upfront work.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're working with that. We're working on ordering the appraisal. We're getting the title work reassured through our end. That's already been ordered probably by the agents as well. We're following up with the real estate agents to make sure there's not any changes to the addendum, anything like that needs to be after the home inspection. The buyer, like you said, is kind of sitting back waiting. Typically review times on our end, at least for my bank, are about 48 hours. They're pretty quick unless you have a really in-depth file. It may take additional days, and that would be more along the lines of self-employed or you own multiple properties, or just, depends on the situation. Every file is different. Typically about 48 hours though. Really quick, which is nice. So you get stuff in, you get it out. As we get closer to the closing, right, we start to finalize things with the title company. Ensure the home comes in at value, and then we're pretty much getting everything set up. For the closing.
Homeowners insurance,
title
box, things like that.
Verification of employment. We're doing typically 10 days prior to closing, making sure you're still employed.
They like that, employment, right?
Absolutely. you got to have that. And then we pretty much just finalize. That's it. We get closing docs sent out, well in advance. Closing disclosure must be reviewed, at least 3 days prior to closing. That's with the TRID guidelines, which is basically government bodies making sure that the borrower has enough time to read and discuss any options they have on that closing disclosure.
Yeah. Basically, the point is just to make sure the payment you were quoted is what you're getting, the terms, things like that, right?
Yep,
Cash
and
to
there's
close.
some room to change as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we try and simplify it as well. We don't want to make it a tedious process. But yeah, overall, it's just kind of a pretty brief explanation of it. And if you want to go even more in depth, you can definitely reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So Again, if you want to find us on Facebook, we have our show on there. We're on YouTube, but if you pull up jamesonmelby.com, you can find me on the web. Joel.
Yep, absolutely.
You have your website there.
Yep, website and Facebook, cell phone number, whatever you want to do if you want to reach out to us. More than happy to assist you in any questions you have or help you with your home buying process.
Yeah, so we appreciate you guys joining us again this week, and next week we'll have more topics for you.
So again, feel free to comment, like, and share if you have any additional questions. Right. We love to hear from you and answer those. And again, enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, see you next week.